NBC Connecticut News starts now.
We do have our first patient here at Hartford Hospital with CV-19.
Breaking right now at 11 at 12th case of coronavirus in Connecticut. This time, a woman in her 80s from Rocky Hill. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Heideck.
And I'm Keisha Grant. Here's what we know right now. Those 12 confirmed cases are in Hartford, Fairfield, and Litchfield counties.
We have team coverage all across the state. We start with NBC Connecticut's Jamie Ratliff, who is live in Hartford right now with the breaking details. Jamie.
Yeah, Mike, Keisha, this is the largest number of cases we have seen in one day for the state so far. Hartford Hospital telling us they have their first patient who has tested positive for the coronavirus. Late tonight during a press conference, health officials with Hartford Healthcare and the mayors of Hartford and Rocky Hill spoke. Health officials say the woman is in her 80s and lives in Rocky Hill. The focus right now is caring for her as well as tracing any contact she may have had. Hartford Healthcare would not say when she came to them, but say she did come through the emergency department. Doctors say they have procedures in place to isolate those with respiratory issues to separate them from other patients. Officials say this is not unexpected, though, that they would have a case here in this region. They have been preparing for weeks, and they're emphasizing there are steps that we can all take. Like if you have symptoms, stay home, call your healthcare provider, or one of the several hotlines, including Hartford Healthcare's.
Hygiene, importance of making sure you take care of yourself in whatever way possible at the moment. Social distancing, don't touch your face.
Although this is the first time that we have had a positive test for somebody in our region with the coronavirus, there are probably a number of other people in our region who would test positive right now. We have to acknowledge the reality that not enough tests have been done. And I say that because there's a reason that we've taken the aggressive measures that we've taken as a state, as a region.
Also late tonight, Griffin Health said a community-based physician tested positive. They say he was not in his office and did not see patients 24 hours prior to having symptoms, and that he is now quarantined. We have reached out to Griffin Health as well as the governor's office to see if that is now the 12th case, one of the other 12 cases that we already know about, or if this is now the 13th case, but we have not yet heard back. We're live in Hartford. Jamie Ratliff, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha.
Jamie, thank you. Tonight we're getting a better idea of what the state is doing to help both families and businesses deal with the outbreak. Students who depend on meals through school lunch programs will still be able to get them.
Closed schools will be able to work with State Department of Education to allow multiple meals at a time to be picked up from those distribution sites, including from schools.
And the Public Utility Regulatory Authority, or PURA, is preventing utilities from being shut off if customers fall behind on their payments.
People having a challenge making ends meet during this period of time will not have to worry about losing heat or power.
Other action by the state includes covering testing for those with Medicaid, Husky Health, expanding telemedicine coverage for virtual doctor visits, changing unemployment insurance, and helping furloughed workers, and deferring loan payments for small business express loans for 3 months.
A daycare center in Mystic is shut down tonight after a child tested positive for coronavirus. We're told the child is from Rhode Island and had recently returned from a cruise.
That facility is now closed, and we're working with the local health department to do contact investigations and making sure that everyone who was in contact with that child is going to be staying at home for 14 days.
And another child from Rhode Island tested positive for the virus after coming in contact with an NBA player who also tested positive. Governor Ned Lamont is tightening visitor restrictions now at nursing homes all across the state. During the next 30 days, only first responders, service providers, and law enforcement officials will be allowed in nursing homes. The only exception when it comes to family members if a patient is about to die. In order to get into the facility, visitors will have to undergo a risk screening for coronavirus.
Now to drastic measures tonight in New Haven to try to slow the spread of the virus. The mayor is now asking all city establishments to cut the number of people allowed in half. NBC Connecticut's Leslie Mays continues our team coverage live in New Haven with the very latest. Leslie.
Keisha, even though this St. Patrick's Day parade this weekend in New Haven is canceled, the mayor still believes that lots of people will likely be coming to the city to celebrate. So he is enacting this capacity cap, if you will, with the hope that by limiting the number of people who are allowed to gather in a single place, that'll prevent the transmission of the coronavirus.
The main thing is fewer people that are in businesses at one time in a small place.
Starting Sunday in New Haven, the crowds in popular gathering places may be a lot lighter. Half as crowded, to be exact. The mayor is enacting a capacity cap. Establishments that fit 16 or more people can be no more than half full at all times as the city tries to combat coronavirus.
And we want to make sure that people are not packed in close together, because it's just a much easier opportunity for a lot of people to get sick and then transmit that disease to many more people.
At Pacifico and College Street, Friday happy hour is quieter than usual. The general manager says since coronavirus showed up in Connecticut with fewer students around from college closures and more people staying home in fear, business is down 40%, and they're keeping some staff at home.
A lot of people live, paycheck to paycheck, and now they have to stay home. And, we try to, accommodate as much as we can.
They're moving tables further apart, trying to give patrons less opportunity to spread a possible infection.
Employees wash your hands very often, sanitize tables, menus, everything, so we can just be open and operating and make sure the patrons are safe when they're here.
Patrons here say they're trying to keep things as normal as possible in a time that's anything but.
It's definitely on the back of my mind, like who I'm coming in contact with, where I'm going, not to be in crowded places.
And we should point out that New Haven's capacity cap, it does not apply to houses of worship. But the mayor does point out that some of those so-called super spreader cases in other jurisdictions, they did have ties to religious gathering places. So people should be careful as they head into the weekend. We are live tonight in New Haven. I'm Leslie Mays, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha, back to you.
Leslie, thank you. Foxwoods is also making changes. The casino will shut down most of its table games and the buffet starting Monday. The only exception will be the electronic games at Grand Pequot Tower.
The Connecticut Science Center is closing its doors to the public, also because of coronavirus. The center says it's going to be shut down for at least 2 weeks as the virus continues to spread. This includes postponing its Community Day and all other events.
Under these circumstances, it just became a matter of reconciling the fact that we serve a lot of people on a given day, and we have good science that tells us that that is presenting a potential risk, and we don't want our families to be at risk, our employees to be at risk. It seemed like the best way we can help right now.
President Matt Fleury tells NBC Connecticut that the center is putting its special content online for both schools and families to use during this time. The Hartford Archdiocese is temporarily suspending the obligation to attend Sunday Mass because of the coronavirus outbreak. Public Mass will still be held, but it's up to you whether you want to attend. The same goes for the Bridgeport Diocese.
A drive-up coronavirus testing site has been shut down in Stratford, leaving people who want and, quite frankly, need to be tested in limbo.
My plan was to go get tested in my car, so I risk infecting as few people as possible.
Matthew Bennett says he scheduled an appointment after he started experiencing symptoms of the virus, but when he drove up to Coastal Connecticut Medical Group this morning, he was turned away. A doctor who works in the building says the property manager won't allow testing on the property.
We believe that drive-through testing prevents buildings from getting contaminated, especially medical offices.
We did reach out to the property manager, but didn't hear back. Bennett continues to self-isolate at home tonight. He is hoping to get tested soon. As the state continues to look for ways to increase testing in Connecticut, Bristol Health now has a drive-through coronavirus testing site. It's one of 3 in our state. The 2 others are at Greenwich and Waterbury hospitals. They are limited to people who are experiencing symptoms and have a doctor's note.
Also tonight, President Trump declared a national emergency earlier today to try to fight the coronavirus outbreak.
And House Democrats in the White House reached a deal on an aid package. Here's NBC's Chris Pallone.
After a day of tense back-and-forth negotiations, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told her party's members in a letter that a deal has been struck with the White House to help Americans affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Pelosi says the bill ensures free coronavirus testing for everyone who needs to be tested, even the uninsured.
What we wanted to do is to say we understand in the hospitality industry and the energy cycle industry, the airline industry, and this and that there are big losses, but we put families first.
The bill provides 2 weeks of paid sick leave for workers, strengthens government food assistance programs, and adds federal funds to Medicaid to ensure states have the resources to treat their sick. In a Friday night thread, the president tweeted his support, encouraging all Republicans and Democrats to come together and vote yes. The deal followed Friday's White House declaration of a national state of emergency.
I am officially declaring a national emergency. Two very big words. The action I am taking will open up access to up to $50 billion.
The president, calling on hospitals to enact emergency preparedness plans, said the government is partnering with private companies to increase coronavirus testing, with the goal of setting up drive-through test sites like other countries have done.
The goal is for individuals to be able to drive up and be swabbed without having to leave your car.
The government action comes as coronavirus cases have topped 2,000 across the country, and state and local officials have started banning large groups from gathering, closing schools, and canceling events, an attempt to slow the spread of a global pandemic. Chris Pallone, NBC News, New York.
And the pictures tell the stories. The empty shelves are a growing concern as coronavirus plays out at grocery stores all across Connecticut. This is what the Big Y in Avon looked like tonight. Earlier in the day, shoppers were wearing gloves and wiping down the carts to prevent the spread of the virus. Some say they're just stocking up. Others say they are indeed preparing for an outbreak where they live.
Yeah, wow, lots of empty shelves here.
I really understand it, but I don't think you have to buy every single thing in the grocery store. That's just my feeling.
Now, the CDC does recommend that people get ready for COVID-19. Their checklist includes over-the-counter meds that treat fevers and medical supplies like tissues.
Coming up, our coronavirus coverage continues. We're going to take a look at how schools are making sure students are still learning, even if they're not in the classroom.
Also, the new steps New Britain is now taking to stop the spread of coronavirus.
Plus, if you're getting on a plane anytime soon, you can take that hand sanitizer with you. We're going to tell you how much.